Good morning. I am waiting for Toby so I can bring her on.
There
Hi.
you are. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Oh, you look beautiful. I am very swollen because
You look
my
beautiful
sister's
too.
cat, I'm allergic, and all of a sudden.
Oh
So I
my
am like,
God.
oh, but that's okay because it has nothing
Because
to
you're
do with
still gorgeous no matter what,
you're sweet.
inside and
You're
out.
sweet.
How's California?
It's hot. It's real hot.
Really?
I'm dying out here. Yeah.
So is Phoenix, girl.
I
Shit's
know.
crazy.
You guys are way hotter than we are. I feel like I can't breathe out here.
My gosh. So are you at your mom's house still? No, your sister's?
I'm at my mom's.
You're at
No,
your
I'm in my mom. Yeah, I'm at my mom's house. I'm in her backyard this morning. She's got the best
beautiful.
backyard, but
Wow.
it is hot.
Jesus. Well, I miss you.
Same. How's everything going? Catch up real quick.
Oh my God, this was a crazy week actually. I've been using Hape or Hepe. You call it Hepe, other people call it Hape. I don't know how it's
It's
called.
hape or rape.
Yeah, I started that and that was intense. I actually have it right here.
Ooh.
This is where I do it. Um, but I felt so grounded in my body in such a new way. And then I tried Sananga this week. Oh my God. I thought I was going to die. I got the gentle kind. There, for those of you who do not know, Sananga is a plant medicine from Peru made by a very specific tribe in the
Yep.
Amazon. It takes months to prepare. It's this beautiful process. And it's a sacred snuff. So you use this, it's called a caripe, I believe. And you put the
Right.
snuff in your
We're
right.
talking about the hape, not
Oh
the
no, hape.
sananga.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got confused. This is hape, and then the Sananga or eye drops. Both are made in the Amazon.
Yes.
And I've been trying to integrate both of those into my practice. And I did Sananga once. It put me on my ass, Iggy. I was
It's,
on this bed thrashing around like a crazy person. It was an
yeah.
emergency. I was
Yeah, it
dying.
happens. It happens. Absolutely. It's not an easy um, modality or ceremony to go through, but your body it does adjust to it, and then it becomes just like a natural part of your routine every day. So
I'm even as it felt so awful. Like it really was more than I've done it twice. When we did ayahuasca, when I did ayahuasca, the shaman did sananga, but under all the other medicines and in that environment, I don't know. I was by myself in my bedroom, did a little ceremony, did the drops, and was like, "Oh shit, this is a
yeah,
fucking emergency."
it's very it tests your like your ability to breathe,
It
honestly.
does. And now I'm determined to do it better because it was
Good.
sloppy. It was not, there was nothing. But then what, I mean, after that initial, 30 seconds to a minute that felt like 5 minutes of pure hell,
Yeah.
oh my God, my entire body started vibrating. You've explained vibrating body before, like I feel like with
Yeah.
Cambo maybe. I've never
Yeah.
experienced that before, but I just laid there and then I did the most beautiful, I did a guided meditation and had a vision of you and I standing around a fire with so many women singing, and it was so beautiful, and I was weeping. It was absolutely a beautiful experience, and I could feel the effect of it in my nervous system. I could feel my nervous
Yeah.
system, which is a struggle for me, having come from a life of trauma. My nervous
Yeah.
system is really, its natural state is
Yeah.
shaken, and so I'm working with these plants to recalibrate my nervous system so that I'm not just anxious all the time, and it's helping.
Right.
I feel it.
That's good. Sorry, I'm going to set my phone up because I don't have my holder. So I'm trying to set it up on a crystal
Oh,
so that I can sit in the grass and we can chat about what we plan on chatting about today. Here we go.
Yes, I'm so excited for today. I've been really excited to hear your story of awakening from start to today because honestly, another thing I did this week was my first hypnosis session.
That's
And
right. You
during
did.
those sessions, you hear somebody's life story from the day they were born until now. And it is such a powerful experience. And it was so awesome to like hypnotize somebody. It actually worked. And that was really exciting. Um, but it really made me realize the importance of hearing somebody's story,
Yeah.
and getting to know somebody from like, we don't do that even with our partners, our best friends, to
Mm-mm.
say, I want to just sit down and give you the floor to tell me your story without
Yeah.
inputting my ego or my opinion or whatever. And so to share your story, I think is super powerful, and there's so much to learn from and relate to.
There really is. And what was interesting is that this week, like jumping right into my awakening, um, it's not like just one day I woke up and I was like, oh, you know,
Right.
so because my upbringing was so different than most people, in general, but then most spiritual people, my upbringing is so completely different. People that talk about their awakening, usually it's like a one day, it's like, oh, like something reaches out to you.
Right.
Um, so when I was thinking about like, I'm going to talk about my awakening. And the first thing that came into my mind was, well, I'm not fully awake yet.
Mm.
Like I am still in my process, a very deep process. And this has been, so I'm like, when would I pinpoint the first day of my awakening? And my first thoughts went to the day that I realized that I had to stop relying on something else and that I actually held the power in myself to create what I wanted to create. But really diving into that thought, I was like, no, this started a long time ago.
Yeah.
So with the upbringing and having such a religious slash spiritual upbringing, because we talked about it in the last live and we talk about this all the time, our mothers are so powerful. My mother's a very powerful person. We've always had little tidbits of spirituality in our life that I used as an everyday practice without realizing what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I think I can remember a moment. I must have been, I was under the age of 8. I was under the age of 8. We were in one of the meetings for this religion slash cult that my mom had us being a part of. And I remember we had to sit there for hours and listen to this prophet talk, who she was channeling um, guided messages from other beings.
Mm.
And I remember sitting there and closing my eyes and like asking myself in this moment at a very young age, like, is this real? And protecting my energy by crossing my arms,
Mm. Yeah.
which is
Wow.
something that my mom taught me that
Oh,
didn't
that's so
really
interesting.
connect with me until I was older. But when I was uncomfortable or I felt like somebody was not being 100% honest with me, or we were, I just energetically was feeling not easy, I always would cross my arms and stand straight up, almost like grounding myself into my power and my energy and being like, no, this is not going to enter my being.
Wow.
And my the protectiveness of my soul to this human body is go to sleep.
Mm.
So I would cross my arms. I asked this question, and then I remember saying to myself, like, go to sleep so that you don't hear. So
Wow.
I'm like, okay. And I have continued this practice of crossing my arms and standing up straight and grounding myself into my own energy into adulthood without realizing it.
Yeah.
And the interesting correlation of that is being married to my husband and then integrating my life with his life and his family's life, and then moving to Utah and having family dinner and all these crazy things, not crazy, normal things, but watching them do their prayer before they ate, everybody crossed their arms.
Mm.
and they would bow their heads and they would pray. And I'm like this, hands like in a, a prayer position, like, okay, we're going to pray before dinner.
Right.
And looking at everybody, I'm like, why are they protecting their energy from their prayers?
Why are they blocking their prayers?
Why are they blocking the blessing that they're asking for? And so I asked, I said, why do you guys cross your arms like this? I see all of you guys do this when you're praying. And they were like, what do you like? I was like, this is a blocker. Like, you're blocking your energy field. You're blocking your heart chakra from the energy that is being released. So then I was like, this is not okay. Like, in my mind, I was like, they're spelling something out of their mouth. So I don't want it. They don't want it. I don't want it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to protect myself. So I've had these little moments of small awakenings my entire life. But the real moment, and we talked about this in the last live, was when I wanted to have a baby with Brian.
Mm.
And failing at doing that and having to go through some really hard things. And I remember being in my shower, and I was pretty much like malnourished. I had been on this journey of like, I need to be skinny. And I was probably 115 pounds. I was tiny. And I was in the shower, and my usual routine would be to bawl my eyes out because I wanted something so bad,
Mm.
get on my hands and knees and pray and just be like, please, God, give me a baby. Like, why do you keep taking the babies away from me? Like, why are you putting my husband through this? Like,
Mm.
I was like, what did I do? Why do I deserve? Why are you punishing me? And I was like listening to myself that day in the shower, and I was like, that's not right. And just sat in the shower and let the water rush over me. And I was like, that's not right. And all of a sudden, I felt a shift in my being of who I was. And I realized God is not here. It's not something that I have to work for or to beg for a little piece of happiness from. God is me. I am my God. I can create this for myself. And then it was like, but how do you do that? And it's this like just in the shower, no like crazy um metaphysical moment, just like me actually finally hearing
Yeah.
my own power and my power telling me, you can do this. Got out of the shower, looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, you're not healthy. Get yourself healthy. What could I do for myself to put myself in a healthy state to carry a baby? So, and I just, first thing that popped in my mind, and that's what I wrote down in this little book. You need to gain 5 pounds. Okay, fine. I'm going to stop being so crazy about my food, and I'm just going to let my body gain the weight that it needs. Gain the 5 pounds. And then it was like, what's the next step? And it was do the research. What does your body need? My body had been stripped of everything. So it was a time of like, which is probably the blessing in disguise, probably the universe working, or the metaphysical part of the beginning of my true awakening, my adult awakening of I had to get a shot of chemotherapy and a very high dose of chemotherapy. It stripped my body of everything, all of its nutrients. I was even going bald from one shot of chemotherapy. And I realized, why would I allow this to happen to my body? And I said, how do I get my body back in a state of like, that it can grow another life?
Yeah.
And I did all the research. I bought all the supplements. I was taking a bazillion units of folic acid. I was just building my body back up. And they told me, you cannot get pregnant for a year after this shot, minimum 6 months. Otherwise, you're going to create a baby that has no brain, or like just awful stuff that they were telling me. And it fueled my hearing to my own body. And I was like, no, you don't know my body. I am powerful, and I want this, and I'm going to do this. And we got pregnant with Piper very shortly after that. And it was the realization that God is me, God is you, God is everything. We are God in a different form. We can create the reality that we want. We can create the life that we want. So for me, my my awakening turned into realizing that God is not an external being, in the sense of, I do believe that there's a higher power. I do believe that we're all part of this this big energy, but it wasn't that energy can control me. It was, I can control myself. I can create my destiny. And if I put trust into me, I can create anything. And that opened up this whole new road of, who am I really? What do I really believe in? And it was like a ton of bricks, where me and Brian kind of went through this little moments of, we are not religious. We don't believe in the construct of other people telling us what they are hearing from their source.
Right.
We don't need to put our faith, our money, our bodies, anything into something created by humans. We have to put something that was created by something bigger than that. That is us. That is our body. We were created by something bigger than humanity.
It's
And
such an important lesson too, of like, every, you know, whether it's infertility or anything else that we want, we're always searching externally. What's the next pill? Weight loss, you know, what's the pill? What's
yes,
the diet? What's this? What's that? In the shower, your answers come. That is, I mean, the shower is actually a really common place for people to receive downloads, because number one, the water clears your energy so beautifully.
yes,
But number two, you're quiet enough. Even the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. You know, what does
yeah.
that mean? What does that really mean? And
God
I
damn
think
it, my
that
phone.
when you are quiet enough, you realize that you are made of the intelligence that created you. You are a unique expression of the intelligence that created you. So you can call that God if that works for you. Fine.
Yeah,
Or you can call it yourself, because it is all the same. You cannot
right,
separate yourself from the air around you. You can't.
right.
When you
You
zoom
can't.
in, it's inseparable. We are one. And so you're tapping in to a bigger intelligence when you shut the fuck up in the shower.
Exactly. And just listen. And we've talked about this before. Like, people don't realize that that is what prayer is.
Yes.
Prayer is you speaking to yourself, and most people are like, God
It's
is
energy
talking to
work.
me. God is talking to me. He spoke to me, and they don't realize that you are that energy.
Right.
And it was just like this really beautiful moment, and I think it started the foundation of where I am now,
Mm-hmm.
as a regular ass fire driven hippie, whatever you call me. You know, like, I don't have this like specific way of identifying myself. I just know, and in the spiritual world, like, I'm not love and light. I'm not love and light. I have love and light. I carry love and light for people, but that is not how I think anybody would be like, have you met Ingrid? She is so love and light. Like, it's like, no, that bitch is crazy. And she
She's
wears her
real.
feelings 100%. If I am happy, I am happy. If I am upset, and Brian's on this live, so he can probably just put a little comment in, like, that's right. When I'm mad, I'm fucking mad. Um, and there's no backing me down. The only person that can calm me down is me. And I realize now, I see the world in such a different place, opening myself up to listening to that energy, that self answer that so many people give credit to somebody else and never step into their power, because
Right.
they're always giving their power away to somebody else. Another idea of something that is not them, because I think when you realize how powerful we are as these creations of higher power, source, whatever you want to call it, it's scary. I don't want that kind of power. But it's like, that's why we're here, like me and you talking, because yes, you do want that kind of power. You can control your life in such a beautiful way and accept and dismiss what you don't want to enter your energy field. And it doesn't mean that we're crazy, like doing all these crazy things. Although if anybody on our lives decides to go buy Hepe and try it out for the first time, they're going to think we're insane. But you just realize that this universe that we're living in, this realm of life, is created for us to evolve into a higher energy source, like to vibrate at a higher energy where cancer can't live in our bodies and anger doesn't live there, because we don't see it as the human definition of anger. We just see it as an emotion that we have to process through.
Right.
And happiness is just another, form of love, and joy is another form of love. And it really is just love all the way around, because if you go back to what fear and anger come from, anger is fear, and fear is just a feeling opposite of love. And it's not good or it's not bad. It's just, that's who we are. And being in this moment of continued awakening, I think, is what my story really is right now. I have moments all the time now where something clicks and I'm like, oh, okay, like that makes sense. I can control that. If I really want something in my life to be better, if I want to be a better person, I can just ground myself into my energy. That is your energy. That is that energy, the energy of the tree and the ground and the rocks and even the cement that we're surrounded by in this world. We can ground into energy because everything is energy. And when you understand that, in my awakening, has been probably the most powerful thing to calm me down. So it's not so much as a, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm not having these like super crazy like experiences, in a sense of like, this feels normal to me now. So when I describe it, somebody else would be like, oh, that's really weird. But for me, I'm like, oh no, this is mild. Like I'm a mild awakener. Like I'm barely scratching the surface. But like, just to give an example, even coming to California, and I came out here for a game. Obviously, my voice is trashed because my son played football last night.
Yay.
And connecting to my son's energy while he was on the field, and just like, we got this, dude. Like, we're going to do this, and sending him all the energy that I could, physically visualizing that my energy flowing into my son, so that when he got on the field, he felt the confidence that he has inside of him. He felt his own inner power. He grounded into himself, and he was exactly who he was supposed to be. To sitting on the couch with my mother, my very powerful mother, and feeling the energy around me, for my mother to vocalize, Ingrid, there is a lot of, she calls them angels. There's a lot of angels around you right now. And I was like, comfortable with it. Like, yeah, I can see it. She's like, they're all blue. I was like, I always have blue angels around me. Like, that's what you call angels. That's what I call energy or beings. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I protect myself. And then this whole weekend has been about teaching my mother how to shield her energy. And I'm like, this universe is so beautiful. And that's like a moment for me of awakening.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Like, I can teach even somebody that I consider to be one of the most powerful humans to ever be in my realm, how to do something that feels so simple for me. And that's my awakening. Like, that's the beginning of it. And it's transformed into different plant medicines coming into my life, and understanding that what we put in our body is going to affect our energy, and how having a stomach ache is not just because you ate the donut. It's because you're disrupting your energy field. It's not something that belongs there. The music that we listen to, the movies that we watch, like understanding, recognizing the programming that's been put around us to keep us almost asleep in our power. Realizing those are all moments for me. That's what awakening means to me. Realizing what I can do in my own power, and then finding out that there are medicines on this planet that are so beautifully connected to my lineage, and completely connecting to them without even ever trying them, and then trying them and being like, yes, this is me. This is who I'm meant to be. I am meant to live in these modalities. And Hepe is one of my 100 top favorite ways to process through my awakening and ground myself to this earth. I love getting people to try Hepe because it is such it's an intense medicine, but it's so beautifully grounding. And it's like when you do Hepe for the first time, you just feel like I told you, like I think when I did the video and I told you about it, it's like you do it and then you're just like,
Show people what it is.
like you just relax into this beautiful earth energy. And then Sananga is very testing
Whew.
on the body, on the eyes specifically, and not just like our eyes here, but like our eyes here. And it's very intense. And we talked about it, like, yeah, you can do it by yourself, but you have to have some severe control not to overpower the medicine's energy. And the best way is to have somebody that you trust there with you. When I did Sananga for the first time, it wasn't on my ayahuasca retreat.
Oh,
And
oh, it
it
was with
was
Cambo?
yes, it was with Cambo. And it was so funny because I was so excited to try Sananga. And I was like, I can't wait. Like, I'm gonna raise my hand. Like, yes, I want this medicine. Give me all the medicines. I want to try all the medicines. Like, I have been dreaming about my Amazonian ancestors. Like, was seeing them in my moments of beautiful journeys, and that's what I wanted more than the ayahuasca, because the ayahuasca scared the shit out of me. I wanted to try this Sananga. And when they were going around the room to do the Sananga, I was second to last. And I was like, oh, I'm almost up. I'm almost up. And I watched the Sananga be given to the gentleman next to me. And I realized looks panicked. And I'm like, what is going on? Maybe I don't want the Sananga. And the woman, our facilitator, our shaman. And I realized finally, I'm like, she ran out. She had only gotten to do his right eye. She didn't have any more to give her to the left eye. And he was like, it's fine, it's fine. And then I was like, it's fine, you can only do one eye. I was like, okay. And then I realized, it hit me like, oh, I'm not getting it. And it was at first, my first mind was like, oh, I'm not getting it. Like, what the fuck? I want it. Mm-hmm. But then my true mind was like, oh, it's not meant for you. This is not how you're meant to try it. Because I would have probably had the experience that you just had on your bed. Dude, where I was thrashing around and cussing up a storm, like, what the fuck? Get this out of my eyes. I probably would have packed my shit and been like, if that is what I'm going to experience and you still want me to do some other shit, I'm out. Like, I can't handle this.
Because when I did it on ayahuasca, I don't remember it being like, I remember it stinging. And I would imagine that hers is probably stronger than the one that I got. But oh my God, I got the
I don't know.
And that shit laid me down on my ass.
Yeah. And so when I tried it, it was, when I found the facilitator, Cambo had come into my life. At the same time as ayahuasca, I found two practitioners. You helped me find my ayahuasca practitioner. She came to me through you. My Cambo practitioner came to me through a random story on Instagram, and I immediately searched her out, sent her the message. She called me, we connected, and I had no idea that she was going to offer Sananga. And she has helped me open up my connection to Cambo. But the Sananga was such a beautiful experience and I've done it twice with her, because the way that she facilitated it, I was like, oh, this is the way it should be. She helped me control my breathing. She helped me keep my forehead and my eyes relaxed and talk to me through it in such a beautiful, energetic way of control your energy right now. Mm-hmm. Don't let it burst out of you because you're experiencing something uncomfortable.
Right.
And she's also a very beautiful Cambo facilitator. She connected me to that medicine and to Sananga, and it took me a while to order it, because it is an intense medicine. And I was like, how am I going to do this by myself? And I realized this is not necessarily, I mean, you can absolutely do it by yourself, but it's such a beautiful joiner of energies that having somebody that you trust and that you love to help you process through that erratic energy that comes up and
Yes.
breathe
Wow.
through that is a beautiful, beautiful moment. And it's something that has stuck with me in connection to that specific facilitator, to that specific human. And
Yeah.
Hepe is just my jam. Like that's just something that I don't know why I connect to it so strongly, but that's something that I regularly, on a regular basis, connect to at night. If I need to meditate, Pepe is my grounding force. It is the one thing on this planet that can take me from this like upright, stiff position to just letting all that air out of my body and just feeling like I am part of this whole creation and not somebody just walking on top of it.
Mhm.
And it's all moments of awakening. So my awakening story is not something that you're going to hear on YouTube about how I was walking down the street one night at night and I saw a UFO or a being approached me. This is just my awakening came from really deep inside, something that was planted a long time ago by my mother, even though my mother doesn't agree with my belief system now, with my connection. She doesn't believe in the verbiage that I use, but she does the same exact thing. And it was me realizing that even though we're different and we use different words and we explain it in such a different way, we're doing the same exact thing. And she taught me that. And that is our jobs. That is our role to teach the other beings on this planet, the other souls, how to ground into their energy. And that message for me has continued my awakening almost daily. I have an experience now daily of aha.
Yeah.
And I feel a little bit lighter. I feel a little bit more empowered in my own power.
I think a
And
lot of, oh, sorry.
go, no, no, go, go.
I think a lot of people are afraid of the accountability that you're talking about because it's a double-edged sword. It's like, yes, you in order to take control of your life, which I feel like is not taking control, but actually letting go and surrendering to life.
Absolutely.
But whatever, in order to do that, you have to take radical accountability of everything in your life.
Yes.
You've got to go to some pretty uncomfortable places and take your power back from everybody that has it. Soul retrieval, that term, I never really understood it. And to me, it might mean something different in the work that I do. There's a lot of different meanings for soul retrieval.
Yeah.
But one of them is your soul is your power. And when you allow anybody to trigger you, they have a piece of your soul and you must retrieve it.
Yes.
That's my fucking power. I'll take that back
Yes.
now. That's my
Yes.
power, whether it's an institution, whether it's a spouse, a child, a pet, a habit,
Coworker,
any
the bitch at
substance,
the
plant
checkout
medicine,
stand.
crystals, could be anything external, but whatever has your power, you have to go through, and the awakening process is literally going through the entire orbit of your life and taking your power back from everything, one thing at a time, whether it be person, place, thing, substance, anything. And people are afraid of that because it does mean taking radical accountability for everything that's ever
Taking,
transpired in
yeah,
your life.
accountability,
It's like,
responsibility, understanding that we as human beings, 9 out of 10 situations in the latter part of your life, you cannot blame on other people.
exactly.
We've
And
allowed
that
our
is
energy to seep
both
out.
scary and empowering.
It absolutely is. And this is so interesting that you even describe it that way, because that is exactly the conversation that I had with my mother.
Mm,
When you have a conversation with me and you, if we were having a conversation, what we do right now is our energy is flowing like this in a circle, right?
right.
It's just flowing between us. We're not taking, we're not keeping. We're just giving and receiving and giving and receiving, but I'm not taking energy from you and you're not taking energy from me, and we're
Right.
not keeping
It's
it
an
for ourselves.
exchange, a reciprocal
It's
exchange.
just, yes, it's just this beautiful circle of love that's coming between us. But if you were to say something that maybe triggered me,
Right.
And I was like, what the fuck, Toby?
Now I have your
You said
power.
that to me? I don't believe that. That's crazy. I have just put my shield down, actually vomited all of my energy to you.
Yeah. You gave it to
I
me.
will be like this because I'm upset. I'm angry with what you've said to me.
Hmm.
You will be like this because you're so full of power,
Now I have
of
more power.
energy, not power, but energy, which is power, but energy. And we hang up the phone and I will crawl into my bed and call my husband and continue to leak my energy to you
Exactly.
because I have allowed you to put a sucker on me. And
Exactly.
now, and this is unconscious
And we
behavior,
all do it. We
whenever you
all do it.
feel like you need that energy, my energy, because we're all different flavors, I guess is the way I would describe it,
Sure.
you would call me
Hmm.
and trigger me so
Right.
that I would continue to give it. And then every time I speak about it or complain or cry to my husband, I am allowing that energy to seep out of me. But if I do it a different way, and this is exactly how I explained it to my mother, because my mother is a explosive energy in the sense of you could be talking about bread and butter. And if she doesn't agree with the way you described it, she will release her energy to you, almost like it's so funny. The only way I can describe it like visually is in the video game, the fighting one, Martial, whatever, I don't know what it's called now,
Oh,
but
I know what
like
you're
when
talking about.
you see it,
Physical.
Brian, if you're on here, you know what
Yeah, what
the
is it
name of the
called?
video
There
game
was a
is?
movie about it recently, and
Martial, no, what is it called? It's going to drive me crazy, but we're not going to give our energy to that.
it's
But it's
taking
like,
both of us down.
yeah, it's like one of those things that like I can see in my eye, like my third eye, I see like when my mom reacts, it's like like
Oh,
she builds her energy up. It's this big ball, and she's like, boom. In her mind, she's destroying you. But what she's actually doing is destroying herself.
she's
So then
giving
she
her
gets
power
through this,
away. That
yeah,
is,
she gets to this
you know,
conversation,
you
this
teach kids
anger.
that too. It's like when you are exploiting, showing this big sign of strength, I'm gonna kick your ass. You are
Yeah.
literally giving away your power and weakening yourself. It's the weakest display of power, you know.
Street Fighters. Is it Street Fighters?
No, but
That's the
you're
one,
close.
but it's one like that.
There
I
might
thought
be one called Street Fighters. That's not the one I was thinking of.
it was really popular when we were kids, but I
Yeah,
think we're thinking the same thing and we just we can't bring the
don't
words
get
out.
it.
But it's like just this like of energy. And I told her like, you react so strongly to people and you're just like with your energy. I
Yeah.
said, does that person stop what they're doing? And she said, no. I said, what happens? She was like, they call me consistently and I release that frustration, that anger at that person over and over. I
Mm.
said,
Mortal
because you've
Kombat.
allowed Mortal Kombat, Brian, you are a
Thank you,
god.
Brian.
That is it. So
That's what I
it's like
love. I was
that
like
video game
Marshall. Marshall is mortal.
Yeah, it's Mortal Kombat. That's a great video game. But it's a great representation, like a visualization of when you allow somebody to tap into your energy so
Yeah.
forcefully and you give it in such a powerful way, that person will continue to create that cycle of you giving the energy and then you're just like, hey, Annette, you're just like defeated after. You're physically exhausted because you've
Literally.
given so much of your life force away for something that didn't mean anything. And so this week, my part of my awakening this week was to realize that in the last 3 years of my awakening, all of the work that I'm consciously doing, the awake work, I guess we could say,
Yeah.
has taught me that my anger, although it still comes because I'm still living a human experience, my anger still comes. I can let the anger come. I can acknowledge it. Brian will be like, you're bratty today, or like what's going on with you? And I'm like, yeah, I'm in a really bad mood. I feel very angry or whatever. And that's just the way it is. Like that's just I got to get through it. But when I look at the last at least 2 years of my life, the anger explosions have been less and less because people can't trigger me so much. But
Yeah.
then because we're human. And it's like I said, I'm not love and light all the time. I will cuss you out behind the wheel. I will give my energy to you behind the wheel in an instant without thinking about it because you're driving too motherfucking slow. And it sounds so stupid, but I realize now that that's what I do. I get it. It's a learned behavior of how to control my energy. My energy builds up so strongly that I don't know how to do anything but to somebody else in a very hostile way. Being an adult now and seeing my mom do it daily, regularly throughout the day to multiple
Yeah.
people, and seeing how she has kind of withered into this small little flower over the last couple of years, it was part of my awakening process to come here to California for one reason, but really to spend hours walking my mom through the understanding of you are giving away your life force and you are shrinking physically, emotionally, and energetically. And you have to reframe the situation so that that person, those people that you've allowed to suck your energy for so long, they get cut off.
Yeah.
So, and it could be something as simple as, okay, I'm going to go to my friend's house and I know that she is addicted to my energy. And before I go in there, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to release any anxiety, any ugly energy that's building up in me so that I don't, you know, throw it towards this person. I said, and you can sit higher in your power and just use our human words, use our third eye in placing an energetic protection field around us, which is a whole nother conversation. But reframing how we use our energy. And when somebody says something triggering, like, God, and this is the example that I use for everybody, like, oh my God, like it could be you have lost so much weight, which is what my mom gets a lot right now. Or, wow, you've really put some weight on. That's triggering for most people. That is the easiest way to suck somebody's
Yes.
energy from them because
Absolutely.
it's personal and it puts you in this like visual of your physical
It
self.
makes you a
And it takes
physical
you out of your
object.
yes, and it takes you out of your higher mind and you react, right? Like, no, I haven't. Are you calling me fat? Like you immediately start giving away your energy. I said, if you were to sit quietly, I said, stillness, quiet, that's power. I said, that's power. If you could sit quietly when somebody approaches you, because you get
That
even
is
just
power.
talking about it, she's
Yes.
very like energy vomiting. I was like, look at how you feel right now, just telling me that you're being asked about your weight. You're so erratic in energy. I said, what if you sat up straight? I said, and stayed quiet for a moment. Doesn't matter how long, however long you feel like it. But for a moment, it could be a split second. If you sat in silence and let that energy that they've just released towards you, that sucker, kind of float in the air a little bit,
Give
and
some
then respond
space.
with, can you tell me why you asked me that question? Let them decide to give their energy away to
Yeah.
you, not to just suck your energy from you. And just if you even do that in your mind, like what would somebody say? If somebody walked up to me and said, damn, Inger, you've gained weight. I know I've gained weight, but that's not how I live my life anymore. I know I'm a little chunky, a little chubby. I got a little more meat. But what does that have to do with you? If I can breathe and be like, I'm going to let that question sit. I'm going to let them think about the fact that they just requested that information
To
from
ask
me.
why did you ask that question, or to turn it back around, is so
Yeah.
powerful. People don't realize that their actual energy, like I feel sleepy, I feel energized, is this power that we're talking about, your soul retrieval. When you
Mm-hmm.
retrieve your soul from everybody and everything around you, you
The parts of
regain
your soul.
actual life energy. Before my awakening, I was drinking like 6 cups of coffee a day, probably between 5 and 8. Absolutely, and I
Hmm.
still wasn't feeling as much energy as I feel now. I can't even drink green tea anymore. I'm so lit up with energy
Yeah.
because I went and retrieved it from all the
Hmm.
places that had it. And a little kid, the Bible talks about be ye like the little children, or whatever
Yeah.
it says. I find that to be so very true when it comes to energy, especially because say a child skins their knee, a 5-year-old skins their knee, they're thrashing their fucking piss. They're, it hurts, it hurts. They feel it. But if an adult skins their knee, it's like, oh shit. And then they stuff that. And
Hmm.
every single part of that is an actually draining wattage. You can assign people smarter than me have done the science to assign a wattage amount to every thought that you think. Every
Hmm.
time you blow up at someone at a red light, every time you are giving away your actual life energy. This is not woo-woo shit. This is science. It's
Yeah.
literally your energy. We are made of
Energy.
electricity and magnetism and atoms,
Yep.
energy. And so when we choose to be triggered and to not do that pause that you're talking about, to just let it sit and create some space and let someone else drain their own energy, but don't give that to them. It turns from being scary accountability to empowering. Oh, okay, I am in control here. No matter what is going on in my orbit, I am okay, and that's
Yeah,
the
it's a
work.
very hard lesson for people to learn. And that is, I think, in this stage of my awakening, um, that is my biggest lesson. And it's also my biggest lesson for me to learn and my biggest lesson for me to teach, because when I see it, when I frame it in my mind, if you can actually look at, if we could see with our eyes, and some of us do, like some of us can see the energy.
Mm-hmm.
I've been able to see energy since I was tiny. My mom taught me that a long time ago.
I'll never
Um,
forget when you saw my aura.
it was beautiful, and a lot of people don't realize what they're seeing when they see it. But when you do tap in and you gain knowledge and you start this awakening, you will start feeling. You could walk by somebody in the grocery store and be like,
Whoa.
uh-uh, like something just physically made me uncomfortable. That's
Or
an energy
wow,
field.
like there are
Yeah.
some
Or
people
you're
you walk
walking
through the
in a
grocery store,
crowd
it's
and you
like,
see somebody and you're just like,
yes,
do I know them? Like, oh my God,
yes,
that is one of the most, and maybe not even physically beautiful, but that is one of the most beautiful people
right.
that
No,
I have
their
ever
energy
seen. Because
is
this is not
pure.
physicality, this is energy. We are drawn to people of like energy, people that can hold their energy, people. But we're also, when we're not awoke, when we're still processing this human um, existence, still sitting in program, um, believing programs that we've been taught our whole life, you are drawn to the opposite. You're drawn to people that suck your energy because for whatever reason, somewhere in our existence, we have been told that we are required to give to everybody.
Yes.
We're required, and that in the last couple of years, I feel like it's gotten so much worse that we're required to give all of ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to our children, to our spouses,
It's brutal.
especially for women. And then that is also part of why in the last 3 years, so we've talked about my whole awakening from the beginning and a very broad spectrum, but this awakening, the who I am right now,
Mm-hmm.
started because I realized I didn't have anything else to give. I
Mm.
am a mother of 5 children. I'm a wife. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. I'm a friend. I'm a cousin. Like, I have been giving so much of me. If you call me in the middle of the night, I'm gonna get in my car and go. I'm not gonna say no. Hi, Spider. Scared the shit
No.
out of me.
Oh.
Um, I will always give of myself, but in an angry way. That's who I was. I would get frustrated with my kids, with my family. Um, and it was when I had to release my son. And I think you will touch on this subject way more because this is just I've only experienced it for a moment, but allowing my energy field to break away from my son, that we were relying on each other, or I was relying on his energy
Yeah.
to sustain who I was as a mother, to drop him off at college. And Brian can attest to this if he's still watching, but I was on the floor physically, could not get up,
Yeah.
releasing so much built up pain and weakness, and just like, how am I going to leave my son here? I physically need my son
Yeah.
in my presence. And that was a moment of just sheer, I can relate that to our ayahuasca experiences, that deep soul cry, that deep soul
Yeah.
wound of just like, I don't have anything else to give. And you're taking the one thing I can hold on to, my babies. You're you're taking it away from me. I was broken. I went from feeling the most like myself in a moment of having the weirdest job, working at a casino, making new friends of different walks of life. Some people that I probably in my human mind would never associate with, but but seeing them for human beings, I was in this situation of being surrounded by so many different energies. I didn't realize it was preparing me for who I am now.
Mm.
And feeling that instant depression of, I have to get up tomorrow and I'm going to do my best not even to get emotional, and I can feel it building. I have to get up tomorrow and leave my son to be an adult. And that deep pain turned immediately, that lack of energy, immediately, that lack of self-confidence, that self-protection immediately turned into depression. And what does depression do to us? It turns us into hermits. It facilitates weight gain or severe weight loss. It
Drains
facilitates
our energy.
anger, and I turned into a different person. I was not happy. I didn't like my life anymore. I don't like my husband anymore. I don't want to be here. I just want my son to be home. Like, I had relied, and it wasn't until later down the line that I can recognize that depression was just my mind and my body saying, you have to stop giving away your energy because you rely on that giving, that empty feeling to survive. And that is not how we are meant to survive. We are meant to feel our emotions and understand why, our lives evolve. But I have never had depression in my life. I have never been a depressive person. I have and not that this is not like, oh, I'm better than people that have depression. That's just not that's not what it is. I just have a very strong mind to say it happened and I'm okay with it. I'm going to move on. I'd rather be happy. I'd rather have fun.
Such
But
a
I was
common one for
smacked.
mothers.
Yeah, it's so common and
Like a
nobody talks about
codependency
it.
on our own children that we really do not talk about a lot.
No, nobody talks about it. And the sun is like making me all shadowy, but
I had to go through a cord cutting because I was going through the exact same thing and somebody recommended a cord cutting for my own children, and I was like, I can't cut the cord to my own.
yeah,
I
we
can cut
talked
the
about
cord
it
to my
so
mom.
long
I can cut the
ago,
cord to my dad. I can cut the cord to Iggy. I can cut the
but
cord.
not my children. It feels very foreign and uncomfortable.
It
And
was
I
one
learned
of the
that.
most difficult ceremonies I've ever performed for myself. It was brutal.
And when I learned about cord cutting, and I think that's when we talked about it, it was the first step in my true awakening, like my deep, like, we're going to slap the shit out of you, girl. Wake the hell up. That was my moment of cord cutting. I had connected with a woman online. We had like a little Zoom meeting, and I expressed to her, like, I am lost. Like, I am not hearing my intuition anymore. I don't want to get out of bed. I'm not taking care of myself. I'm not active. I'm gaining weight. I'm sad. And I don't know why I'm sad, because I'm not a sad person. I can be sad for a moment, but I don't live in sadness.
Yeah.
And she said, you need to cut your cords. You've connected yourself to people and everybody that you feel like they need you, so you can't release them. She's like, you have to release them. And when I went through that process, when she said this is how she said it. Imagine that you're in a bubble and you know, you're in the grocery store. When you walk out of that grocery store, sit in your car and visualize that you are cutting physical cords. She's like, whatever it is, a machete, a scissors, a
Yes.
razor, whatever it is that you connect with, just
Those
cut those
yard
cords with
shear
all of
things,
those
those big
people
shears.
that were in and mine's more of like a sword. Like I love swords. So I'm like in my mind, just cutting the connection with all of the people I just encountered in the grocery store, right? I can do that. I don't know them. They don't need
Sure.
me.
Easy.
But then when she said, you need to cut the cord with your children and your husband daily, I was like, nope, I can't do that. I can't release them from my life. And she said, you're not looking at it the right way.
Right.
You're not releasing them. She's like, you're releasing yourself. You're releasing yourself from that energetic pull to give everything. And when I started doing that, I started evolving. I started changing. I started saying, me first.
Yeah.
Let that old saying, how do you give from an empty cup? Fill your cup
Exactly.
first so that
Right.
you can give the extra. It finally made sense to
It's like
me.
when you're gripping anything like this, holding it tight to you, you can't even appreciate it because it's not separate from you. What I learned about cutting the cord with my own children is that I cannot properly love my children and honor their sovereignty as souls in this universe if I am gripping and clinging to them. I can't
Mhm.
love them properly. You are setting them free in a sense because they don't deserve to have my clinging. That's on me. You know,
Because
it's like
somewhere in our
when
minds,
somebody has some space, then you can love them
yes,
properly.
totally. And somewhere in our minds, somewhere in this program that we are programmed to live, we believe that our children belong to us.
Right.
They came
Exactly.
from
It's so
my
easy
body.
to
They
get
came
into
from
that.
my womb. They are mine.
They're an extension
No,
of me.
no, they're not. These are separate souls coming through you.
Right.
They come through us. They start in our spouses, in their fathers. They join in our bodies, but they're just coming through. They're just passing through. We're just meant to be the vessel for
And
them
it's
to enter this world.
what an honor to be that
Yes.
vessel. And their, motherhood is so beautiful in
Hi,
so many
Sarah.
ways. And to have that connection, hello. But, but like I said, you can't even have that healthy connection when you're gripping, it's like
Right.
they
And
are separate souls, but you have this opportunity, this unique motherhood, maternal child connection that
mhm.
when we don't cut that cord, we're missing an opportunity to have this beautiful maternal experience where it's not you are an extension to me of me and you are mine. It's more like I had the honor and privilege of bringing you into this realm and we get to support each other through this and I get to guide you in doing whatever brings you joy,
And I don't
but
get
you
to see
can't do
you
that
as
when
a
you're just like
reflection.
gripping helicopter parenting.
We're not, we stop seeing our children as the reflection of who we are
Yes.
and start seeing them for who they actually are. And it changes the relationship so beautiful. And for me, even more harder, that doesn't make sense. The hardest part for me was not necessarily breaking the bond, that cord between my children. It was breaking the bond between me and my husband,
Mm-hmm.
because we sometimes forget that our spouses are not, they're still separate from us. We want to be
Totally.
one. We're told when we give our vows that we are one,
Right.
but in actuality, we are two that decide to come together. So we should always be like this and not just so intertwined that we don't know who we are now. And so now all of a sudden you're just a wife or you're just a husband, like
Right.
we are with our children. We're just their mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then your children, the beautiful thing about cutting cords and the beautiful thing that I've learned in this part of my awakening, which is the most powerful part of my awakening, is this small moment, small in the sense of like this expansion of my life, but this small moment of depression and understanding that I have relied on the energy of the children that I created because I'm so powerful. You know, those are my children. Look at what I did. And realizing that I actually didn't do shit. If I did anything, I fucked up. I put my own downfalls onto my children. I taught them how to respond in anger. Like I taught them so many ugly things, but I realized in this part of my awakening, and it's beautiful when people can awaken when their children are smaller.
Yeah.
Like I do have small children now, and I see the difference in who I am as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was a mom that says, don't fucking cry. We don't fucking cry. Crying is weakness. We don't fucking cry. We're gallows. We're gallows, motherfuckers. We're Peruvian strong. Like, it's something that we even say to this day. We're gallows. We don't fucking cry. That's weak. To see and raising my children, like my first 3 children, in that what I assumed was power.
Yeah.
Now I see it as weakness.
Yeah.
To my 2 little ones, my beautiful Piper, who was brought into my life, which is part of my awakening. My awakening,
Yes.
my
Oh
2
my
youngest
God, Piper's
children
so powerful.
are part of my awakening. And they said, you know, she is so emotional. And realizing when she does come cry, my instinct, my programming immediately is like, we don't cry for that. It's like, okay, we'll get it out. Tell me why you're feeling that way.
Yeah.
Let's get it out and let's release it and let it go.
Yeah.
Let's not involve ourselves in petty drama. Let's keep our vibration higher. I said, you'll have a better experience if you give joy and if you give love and not let that happen. And listening to myself, even my boys are like, what the fuck? When did you become such a weak mother? And I'm like, we would have never gotten away with that behavior. And it's just part of this beautiful awakening of understanding that every soul on this planet is individual. And it's the most beautiful lesson I have learned to this day, that I am strong by myself. I can be strong by myself. I can be me. My children are going to love me. They might talk shit behind my back and say my mom's crazy the way I do to my mom. They might, but you know what? They're going to come to me. And they're going to say, you know, you taught me to be a stronger person. I watched you go from being the bottom of the barrel to putting yourself on top, and realize that I have to put myself on top. The women that enter my son's lives, I can teach them such a beautiful lesson about motherhood and letting them understand that we are not meant to give everything away. We are meant to give to ourselves first. Like you explained in our last live, we are beautiful trees and we have to nourish our roots so that we can stand strong, so that they can hang from our branches when they need us. Because if we can't keep our branch strong, our children are going to fall no matter what. But if we can strengthen ourselves first, be the nutrients, take the nutrients, and then have enough to give to our children, to the people in our lives, it's such a beautiful idea. And it's realization that we are so powerful, but we have to be powerful within ourselves. We have to trust ourselves. We have to be what we think we're not, because we are. It's changing that programming. And it's been so beautiful in this part of my awakening to understand that I don't have to feel guilty for putting me first, for serving myself dinner first. Like, in the animal kingdom, you will never, ever see a mother not feed herself first, because she knows that she has to stay strong for the next meal for her children.
It's
And
like
then
on
she
the
gives to,
airplane when they tell you to put your mask on first.
yes, it's very true. And that's a beautiful
That
part of,
basic concept of
yep.
the mother tree must be healthy, because the healthier her root system, the more nourishment she can provide.
And speaking on, even just if you're looking for visualization on what that really looks like, if you go to a forest, you always know who the mother tree is, because she stands alone.
Yeah.
The mother tree
The
stands
tallest and
alone, and
biggest.
she has her roots out into her family, and they thrive. They're thriving because she has said, you can't suck from me. I will give you. And so she steps back. And as a mother, I think that is the biggest realization that's the visualization that I think was the most powerful, is meeting a mother tree and realizing oh, that's her family there. She's standing so strong by herself because she knows if she's surrounds herself the way we surround ourselves with our children, our family, and our loved ones, that we can't, we're suffocating because
Yeah.
they need, and we have to give, we have to give. The mother tree separates herself and says, I will feed myself first and I will give to you after. And these beautiful forces have been created on this planet, and it all extends from understanding that singularly we have to hold our power and give what we can, and nobody can take from us what we're not willing to give.
If it gives you joy, it's meant for you too. I think so much of our programming is like there's dignity in suffering, there's dignity in enduring. In my religious upbringing, there's this saying, endure to the end, endure to the end. Oh, how nauseating to endure to the end, you know? Like I want to
Miserable.
live. I want to live. And when you really start to retrieve your power from all the places and realize that you can have this power, and it is not bad, it is not evil, it isn't even selfish, it's the most selfless thing that I can do. I have a deep desire to be the best mother I can be. I love my
Mm-hmm.
children. Motherhood is such an important part of who I am, and
Yeah.
my programming was that not sacrificing is selfish, and it is
Yeah.
literally evil. And so you really have to like turn the programming on its head, and to get rid of the shame and guilt. And it doesn't mean, I mean, I don't go and get manis and petties, and if you do, that's fine. I'm not that kind of tree. We're all different.
Right.
But what I'm talking about when I talk about self-care and healing, I'm not talking about going out and indulging in
Right.
crazy shit and leaving my
Right.
children with no nice clothes or something. That's
Right.
not,
Right. That's not what we're
that is
saying.
not self-care. That's
Mm-mm.
that's abuse probably. You
It's
know? What
topical.
I'm
It's
talking about is
topical.
like really taking the time, and what you're talking about, to heal yourself, to nourish yourself, not to superficially pile shit on, but to make sure you're actually your healthiest, happiest self. And that doesn't come from manis and petties. That comes from getting really quiet with yourself and
To
really
standing in
asking
front of a
yourself the
mirror
hardest
naked
questions.
and
Exactly. And
seeing
I had to
yourself.
go through a lot of like guilt, what you're talking about. Like I wasn't the same parent with my first three that I am with my last two. Same, fucking same.
Yeah.
And when Chandler graduated, my oldest, I went through an insane depression too, and it took me a long time to get out of that funk. And so much of it was like shame, because I am, hi baby, oh powerful,
He's
hi little
powerful.
one, you've got some energy. But I feel like what I realized through that is my shame and my guilt from any time that I was rude to my younger children because I didn't know any better isn't serving them now. You taught me something amazing. You said worry is a prayer for what you don't want, and that has
Yes.
stuck with me so much. And that's maternal shame is the same thing. So what I've started doing now, my prayer looks different than it used to look, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
praying all the time. It's just different. It just looks different, but my prayer is actually manifesting. What I'm doing in my mind now is creating these energies of, I'm imagining all of my children as adults and some grandkids running around, and I'm hugging Chandler. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Chandler, we made it here.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas, Anna, Jonah, all of them. And I'm creating this energy of excitement and joy and strength and love and healthiness in my
Mm-hmm.
meditations. I'm doing that. And then I open my goddamn eyes, and the next time I see my kids, they're thriving.
Yeah.
It's not selfish. It is
No.
this self-care we're talking about is the most important, most selfless thing a mother can do for her children. I have experienced firsthand, and so have you, the healing that trickles down through those root systems directly into our
Mm-hmm.
children's lives. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you have to undo so much of that religious and
Yeah.
societal programming that says that especially a woman's role is to give. And even men, we are
Yeah.
all
On the
taught
flip
to
side, men.
sacrifice ourselves. You know,
Yeah.
my husband has a whole other set of pressures that were placed on him by the religious and societal programming of you have to be the provider for 7 kids and a wife, and that I can't even imagine the
And
pressure
that's it. And that's
that men
it. That is
have
your only
too.
role. That is such
Right.
a toxic mindset that we've been programmed that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, men are meant to go, we're meant to do all the heavy lifting with the children and rearing them and creating their lives for them. And men are just there to work, work, work and pay the bills and
Right.
financially
And
support
that's
them.
empty and sad
And that's
too.
empty. And so then what happens? Your kids get older and all of these adults are walking around with no connection to their masculine side, to their or an over connection to their masculine side is what, because
Yeah.
they're
It
trying to
becomes
create that
overly.
relationship when these fathers, our husbands can help lift that load of being putting themselves first sometimes
Mm-hmm.
and doing the self-care. So self-care is not just for mothers and for women, it's men too. Like
Yeah, so important.
sometimes for men, self-care is not like what we do, where we need to be quiet and be in meditation and just shutting up to just hear our own mind think. For men, I think, and what I've been seeing is that sometimes it's that you don't have to sacrifice
Mm-hmm.
physically, financially, everything for your family.
That's not your
Sometimes you
only
can,
value.
right. Sometimes you can look in the mirror and say, I fucking deserve this.
Mm-hmm.
I deserve a break physically, financially. And the beauty of this like awakening and understanding that self-care and self-love is really just that, loving yourself enough to say, I can't do this by myself. I
Yeah.
can't do this anymore. We are supposed to be a team. We're a union of two people that have created this life. We're supposed to start helping. Brian, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that you're not going to pay all my bills because that's how I live and that's how I like it. But I am not saying that you get
Brian
off the
knows.
hook.
Brian knows
But
what's up.
like, don't get confused. I'm not going to lie to people. But I'm saying, like, I see so many men give so much of themselves, bottle who they really
Yeah,
are,
it's
that
a real thing.
that joy that they have inside of them, these men, and you don't ever get to see it. They're always the
Mm-hmm.
staunchy dad that just got off work and, you know, what do you need now? Who needs shoes? Who needs clothes?
Right.
Like, what bills do I have to pay? You don't get to see that joy, that child like joy that I think we get to see in our spouses sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm very blessed and you're very blessed that our spouses are awakening in their own way,
Yeah.
and bringing that like joy out of them. For me, seeing my husband play play with the kids, and be goofy, and when I can see my husband truly be himself in front of other adults, the bugs are starting to eat me. I That is like the most powerful gift of love that I can see my husband give anybody. Because
Yeah.
most people see my husband and they're immediately like, oh, he's a big, burly, bearded guy. He's works with it, you know, he works outdoors, he's weathered. And people are like, oh my God. But if you got to know Brian, like you guys, he's goofy and he's funny and he's
Yes.
so loving. He gives so much love to everybody in his life, real deep. And he's gonna hate because of the word that I'm gonna use, but he gives real deep feminine love
Yeah.
to people around him, and not feminine as
Beautiful.
in my husband is girly in any
No, it's
way.
like a
Feminine is
gentle.
just the energy of giving.
Mm-hmm.
He has such a beautiful femininity of giving to people, where I have a very strong masculine of creating and taking and forming. He does give when he lets his guard down, when he gives himself enough love, he vomits this beautiful joy onto other people. And I think that's something that's lost in our society right now. And it's not just if we awaken as women, and we're talking about our awakening journeys right now. Yours will be next week for everybody that's watching. You guys need to tune in for Toby's awakening because it's way more, not more because
I was
we're
gonna
different,
say
but it's
not
so,
more. We have such different
it's so
stories.
different and so ethereal and magical. And it just, I love Toby's story. But our men, our husbands, even our children are starting to wake themselves up,
Yes.
understanding
So
like, oh,
exciting.
I'm going to change my mindset. For me to hear my son, my son that is here, Matthew, say, I'm telling myself every morning, Mom, that I'm going to make it to whatever he is, the NFL, whatever he wants to do. Let's
Yeah.
just use that as an example.
Right.
I told my sons years ago, get up every day, look in the mirror and say, we're going to the NFL. How do we get there? What step do we take next? What can I do
What's
today
the,
to,
yeah.
to get closer to that? I said, control your destiny. And you know what I got, Mom? That's some like woo woo shit.
Right. The
Like, get out of my
woo
room, Mom,
woo. Yeah.
weirdo. But to hear my son say, I'm going to do this, Mom, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get out on the field and I'm going to make something happen today so that I'm one step closer. To hear my kids' confidence in knowing that they can create this for themselves.
Yeah.
It's a different form of awakening. And
It's
by
so
us awakening
exciting.
ourselves and doing the work, the inner work, not putting the makeup on and brushing our hair. And I mean, that's all important if it's important to you, but not buying all the fancy clothes and looking like the part, you know, looking like we're spiritual beings. No, being that inside, whether it's hidden, because I am a spiritual person, but I like to put a full face of makeup on, not right now because of allergies, but I like to have I like to be who I am,
Yeah.
right? But inside, doing that deep self reflection, that deep self healing ripples out to the people around us and connects us to people. I think that if me and you weren't on this journey together, although we've always had a very strong connection, it was going to happen regardless. I think that waking up around the same time has brought our connection so much closer and deeper. And in that has brought other people onto our journey it's
Yeah.
building, and it's just this ripple effect. So if you really think about it, it really has nothing to do with just us because we are all the same. We're all one energy. And if we can focus and rise our energy, the people around us will start raising their energy. And that is the beauty in awakening, is
So
helping
true.
and being there for other people and giving
That's
of
the thing is like
ourselves.
when you have all of your power back, when you retrieve every part of yourself, you have so much to give and it's giving with intention. You're not just mindlessly sacrificing yourself like this sheep in a mill. No, you're really intentionally able to live life in full color in whatever way you want because you have all your power to do with whatever you want. If you want to go buy the beautiful clothes, you get to do that with intention. You are now, it's coming from within. That beautiful outfit that you just bought, it's because you understand your essence and it is this
Mhm.
beautiful external
Extension.
extension of the work that you've done. So everything becomes beautiful, everything becomes a miracle, everything becomes colorful and exciting in your
A
life. You
gift.
don't have those
Everything's a gift
resentments
in these
because every
moments.
single moment is intentional and that just feels good. No matter what is happening in your life, if you
Yeah.
have all of your power, you're handling it and you're feeling happy. Not happy like ha 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 all the time,
Right.
but even in the weeping, there's this awareness when I am struggling now and I am weeping, just like this is so hard, whatever it is, something horrible happens. It's with intention. I am weeping now. I am weeping. I am feeling every part of this, just like that 5-year-old kid who skinned his knees. I'm going to let it all out, no matter how ugly it is. If something happens in a public space, I'm going to keep that in my back pocket and I'm going to go home and I'm going to let it all out so that my energies continue to be clear.
Yeah.
And watching that happen in our children, watching them start to figure these things out is really exciting.
And I think it's powerful. So as we end this, as this episode, I think that if we can leave anybody with a tip, for me, and I'll let you share your tip after, but for me, I would say if you feel like you are going through an awakening, if you feel like your mindset is changing, something's different, you don't know where to look to the children.
Yeah.
They're very powerful teachers. I learned so much from my daughter, Piper. I learned so much from my nonverbal, autistic, beautiful, fiery redhead daughter. She feels her feelings. She doesn't give a fuck. She feels her
Watch
feelings.
them, or
And
animals too.
it's so beautiful. But as living in this human experience, remembering that our children come into this world so pure and so unprogrammed.
Yeah.
If you really are feeling lost and you really are feeling like what, like I don't know where to go, something's different, something's changing inside of me, watch a child go through something hard.
Yeah.
And if you really watch from the beginning to the end, watch how the programming starts to change how they react.
Great.
And it's a really hard lesson. If you watch a child lose a parent at the age of 3 or 4, you're going to see like they're crying, they're crying, they're crying. And then it's an understanding of they're not really gone.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you see a child after the age of 8, for instance, and it just seems so common at this age of 8, you see them stoic. Like, I can't show my
Mm-hmm.
pain.
Yeah.
And that's all programming. And that's who we are as adults now. People that are stoic, that it's weak to show your emotion. So if you are going through an awakening, regardless of how it started, regardless if it's a mystical experience, a plant medicine induced experience, just a little whisper in your ear, like it is for me, a soul understanding that something is different, that I can do something more. Look to a child and just, I mean, that's my biggest advice, is look to a child in your life that feels their joy, that hasn't been programmed or shut down in any way. They are exactly how we should be living life. We should be feeling joy in the small moments. We should be feeling pain in the moments of injury, you know? And we unconsciously do that to our children when they do skin their knee. We're like, you're okay, shake it off, shake it off, shake it off, we're fine.
Yes, that's how
No,
we program them.
it hurts.
Yeah.
And changing the vocabulary of just like, it hurts and I know it hurts and I'm so sorry. And then using that on yourself is so powerful. The way that we treat our children as very young babies is powerful if you treat yourself that way. If you give yourself the same unconditional love. It's the
Yeah.
biggest tool in these awakenings that people are going through, so that you don't get lost in it and you don't just listen here and give yourself love. Look in the mirror and just say, I love you every day until you fucking believe it. I
Yeah.
love you and you're
That
beautiful
that was
and we
going
can
to be
do
my
this.
piece of advice, if I have one, is if you have not integrated some mirror work into your practice, I would challenge everybody. It's hard for me still, but I remember sitting in front of a mirror that my best friend Christopher gave to me and crying my eyes out and just looking at this face and saying, I love you. I love you. I love you. Toby, I love you. That shit's weird. It is
It
weird
is
to do
weird.
that. But staring at your own eyes, and I just started bawling, like, you're
Mm-hmm.
in there. You're in that body. You're not that body, but you're in there, and we're in this together, and we're getting through this. And just to say, I approve of you exactly as you are. I love you. Say it 500 times a day. It's not too much. Say it.
Mm-hmm.
Say, I approve of myself. As you're going throughout the day, I approve of myself exactly as I am. I love myself exactly as I am. Because people think that that's caving to your bad habits. No, I can't love myself exactly as I am. Look at me. I smoke cigarettes. I do this. I do that. I'm this weight. I'm this, whatever. No, the answer is loving yourself. And when it comes to anything you want to change in your body, it's the same. It's loving yourself. So if you can adopt, just every single time I tell my children this is what I tell my kids. Every time you go to the bathroom and wash your hands, do not miss an opportunity to look yourself in the eyes and say, you're a badass. You're doing great. We got this. I love you. You're fucking beautiful. Turn around. Look at your ass. Fucking spoil yourself in the mirror every time you wash your hands. That at least will give you a little bit of a start. And then throughout the day, whenever you think about it, just tell yourself, I'm doing it. I'm doing great. Look, this shit is hard and I am here for it. And look back on your life and look at every single thing that you overcame to get to this moment. Driving in your car, sitting there with your kids. Think about everything the little kid in you had to overcome, to maneuver through to get to where you are right now is a true miracle. So just
Yep.
fucking love yourself. Spoil the shit out of yourself. Not in
Because nobody
superficial
can
ways,
love
but
you.
in energetic ways.
Nobody can love you more than you love yourself.
And you can't give
Nobody,
what you don't have. You have to
nobody.
give
Yeah,
yourself that so that you can, just like we were talking about, there's more that is in your root systems to give when
yeah,
you fill your own cup. So that would be
absolutely.
my advice is start some mirror work.
So love, everybody, just love, love and light. No, just
We
be
love
you.
you.
Love everybody, but love yourself first.
And
You
I
got to
just
love
want to say
yourself
thank you
first.
for sharing your story, Iggy. Like, I think that your story is so important because you are willing to be really real about your journey and all of all of who you were before that led up to who we are today. And I think that's really important for us to all just own who how
Who
we
we
got
were,
to this place
who
and
we are,
honor that.
and who we're becoming. We're never the same. I'm
Exactly.
not the same
It's a
person I was
story.
yesterday. You're not the
Right.
same person you were when we started this live. Like
No.
that's the
Exactly. We're
evolution of who we
evolving.
are. And I think it's very common, and we could talk here forever, but I think it's very common and people don't see people talking about the moments of outbursts or the moments of what they would consider darkness. I don't believe in either or. It's just we are who we are.
And it's
Um,
in exploring those dark or heavier, uncomfortable sides of ourselves that we bring them into the light. You know,
yeah.
darkness can't live when you shine light on it. It's literally yin and yang. We're
Love
just
can't
learning
live
to work
where
with all of it.
hate can't live where there's love. You
Right.
can't hate can't reside in the same area.
Nope.
If you love
It
this
doesn't
finger more than
exist.
anything, you're never going to hate this finger.
Right.
It's the reason why we love people to death. Love yourself to death. Give yourself that love.
Mm-hmm.
Allow yourself to make all the mistakes that you allow everybody else to do to
Yep.
you.
Give
Love
yourself some
yourself
grace.
enough to accept who you are in this moment so that you can evolve into the next moment. So
So
I think it's
important.
beautiful. I'm excited for next week, Thursday,
Yay.
right?
Thursday,
Next
sure, yeah.
Thursday for your story. I think how I know that my story is going to connect to so many people. I know that your story is going to not only connect, but awaken so many people because you have such a beautiful and interesting story. It's exciting. So you guys,
Yay, I'm excited.
if you're hopping on our lives or whatever, just give us a little comment, a little heart so that you guys can stay tuned to the next one. And we will announce, the time. It's going to be about 9 or 10 every
Yeah.
Thursday is kind of what we're doing, regardless of where we are, whether we're swollen and sweating outside in California or
You're
perfectly posh in
perfect.
our home. We are going to show up every week and just kind of talk about what we feel called to talk about. And it just so happens to be the beginning of our stories, the awakening of our spiritual selves. And if don't miss Toby's story, you guys, it's going to be a good one. I
Thank
love you.
you. I love you so much. I'll see you
I
next
love you
week.
so much. Yes, we will. Bye, you guys. Love you all.
Bye. See ya.